Today, I'm gonna be eating MMO food for 24 hours, thanks to my friends over at Mabinogi. So today, we're gonna be making quite a bit of food, and it is 9:30 in the morning. I actually have to make dessert right now. And for dessert, I'm gonna be making a giant mooncake, and I've never made a mooncake, small or large, before. This is gonna be a task for both you and me. Now in Mabinogi, the mooncake actually doesn't say whether or not it has a traditional egg yolk in it. It just simply says beans. But in this case, I'm gonna be using red beans because red bean mooncakes are a thing, but I have a lot of this canned stuff that I really wanna use. I have no shame. Into my large bowl, I have 500 grams worth of cake flour, followed by about 6 grams worth of salt. Give this a quick whisk, just making sure that all that cake flour is mixed in with that salt. Then I have 260 grams? Yes, of maple syrup. Oh. Give this a quick whisk, bringing it all together. Now before it fully comes together, I'm going to add 20 grams worth of oil. No, this is 100 grams. 100 grams worth of vegetable oil. Probably get a spatula now. I'm gonna constantly mix this until it fully comes together and you start seeing that really beautiful amber almost color come up from that maple syrup. Once you can't really spatula it anymore, we're just gonna use the good old hand, you know? The hand technique. We're gonna need this for like 5 minutes. You don't need to see this, do you? No. I've been kneading this for about 5 or 6 minutes. I was just trying to get the mooncake dough nice and smooth so you can see how it kind of has this shininess to it. But we can't work with this right away. Like every dough, we have to let this rest. So we're gonna let this rest right in here at room temperature for 2 to 3 hours. Now the dough is almost finished resting, so all I really need to do is take the beans out of these cans because yes, it is that easy today. Gandalf, you don't get any red bean. It's not good for you. I really honestly hope this is enough red bean. I don't know if it will be. We're gonna take all of this red bean out, pop it into whatever bowl you got. Really all I'm trying to do is make this easier to work with, and hopefully this is enough. This red bean is thick. Get up here, do you wanna see? It's red bean. You don't even like red bean. You can't have it, dude. So much sugar for cats. Oh, this red bean is actually not mush. That's okay. Nice textural difference. We'll just call it a textural difference. Yeah, how am I supposed to do this with you here? Oh yeah, that one just plopped right out. I think this will be enough. Gives a little taste. Delicious, perfect. I actually really like that. Oh yeah. Let's roll out that dough. Now this didn't actually go for a couple of hours. This went for like 45 minutes to an hour. We can't really roll out directly on the cutting board. And it needs to fit in this. Let's do this. Maybe I know how to do this. Second sheet on top, rolling pin. I'm gonna roll this out till it's maybe like a half-inch thick. I don't know, I've never made a mooncake before. Still haven't had lunch or breakfast yet. We have a lot to do. We got Wagyu to make, we have ramen to make. This needs to be almost double the size. I've been rolling this thing out for the past 10 minutes or so. And I think I finally got it to a spot where I'm comfortable enough working with it. Comfortable enough. Now to make my life a little bit easier, I am gonna take the pan that it's going to rest in and dust it with just a bit of cornstarch. This is gonna help it not stick for whatever plan I have after that. Hopefully this works. This bad boy off, look at that. Put this has to go in there, in this thing. Can I pick this up? Yes. I think we should starch this as well. Just a little bit. This'll be okay. Just fine, Paul. I don't know what I'm doing. I think we're gonna have to do the pie technique maybe. Very carefully peel this back. Probably, starch this side too. Oh man, this is gonna be a freaking disaster, isn't it? This dough is so tender. Just gonna go for it. It's released from the parchment. Go straight in there. Okay. This is a thing that's happening. Try to center it, Paul. It smells so good though from that maple. This is fine. The world is only a little bit on fire right now. That looks good. Good enough. See, this is why in MMOs, you're just like ding, 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 done. Appreciate whoever makes you food in MMOs, okay? This is where it's like the point of no return. I have to fill it. That's what's gonna happen. This actually might be the perfect amount. I wanna pack this in pretty tightly. Okay, I do wish I had one more can. It would have probably filled it just a bit better. Don't use a metal spoon. Maybe plastic spatula so you don't break the dough any further than it needs to be broken. Be super careful here. Nice and smooth, nice and level. Now we're gonna gently start bringing this side, all of the extras, over towards the center. God, I didn't wanna have to do that, but I'm going to. So this way it's not so thick. Now some of this dough is a little thicker in areas than the other. I'm gonna pop this into the fridge for an hour. This worries me so much. I'm just gonna gently press it with this other pan, and I really, really hope this doesn't stick when I bake it. Godspeed. But while that's resting, we can start making lunch, which is gonna be ramen. Now this miso ramen is relatively easy to make. This comes from my friend Ryan over at Way of Ramen, who said, Paul, just do this. It's so easy to make in a day. Into this pot, I'm gonna add just a splash of oil to this. Now, Wood spoon in hand. We're gonna take ground pork. This is half a pound of ground pork. I think there's a paper thing underneath this, is there? Don't put the blood bag in there. Oh my God. Okay, there we go. These noodles are supposed to be super spicy, right? I have a very secret ingredient, chemical X, that we're gonna add to this after we sear off this pork. Where is my salt? I'm gonna season this with just a pinch of salt because we are adding other salty things to this. I feel like the butane is almost out. Please don't die on me, butane. I need you. It's dead. It's gone. Intermission. Crisis averted. Now with the pork more or less cooked, I didn't get very much brown. It's gonna burn me. Very much browning on there. Now to this secret ingredient, chemical Y, because we have X over there. This is suyu, which is actually just a Japanese style soup broth. I'm gonna add a nice splash of that because I do love the flavor of it. I'm also gonna add some aromatics along with this. I have a giant chunk of ginger. That's going right in. Actually 2 chunks of ginger apparently. Yep, that's going in there. I also have like 3 green onions that I chopped up right in there. Along with that, I have 3 cloves of garlic that I also kind of mashed together here. We're gonna give them a little more of a palm strike over here on the cutting board. Then we're gonna throw those in there, stir this all together, make sure it's nice and stirred up. Now with the aromatics in there, this is when we get to add the spicy bit. And for that, we're gonna use this guy. This is a fresh cayenne pepper. This is gonna be interesting. This is gonna be very interesting. I don't know if I want bits of cayenne. You know what? Yeah, we're gonna do bits of cayenne. You're gonna move over here now. My initial thought was like, Paul, don't make it extremely spicy. Wrong. Instead, we're gonna do this. Nice and thin pieces of cayenne pepper. Oh, baby, this is gonna burn twice. You know what I mean? Maybe 3 times, depending on whether or not we go to the bathroom after cutting this and forget to wash our hands. I almost went with Carolina Reaper, but as you guys know, I don't want to be that spicy later on tomorrow morning in the bathroom. Take our cayennes, boom. Doesn't smell that spicy though. We'll see. We may have to amp it up a little bit. I'm gonna let this cook for like a minute before I add my liquid. After a minute or so, I'm gonna add 1 liter worth of water. Oh God, oh God. Okay, we're gonna add 950 milligrams worth of water because some of it spilled. And now we get to bring this back up to a simmer before we add the final ingredient, which two final ingredients, miso, chili oil. Once this has come up to a boil, this is where we add in the miso paste. But remember, with miso paste, you don't really want to boil it. So as soon as I add this thing, it is gonna cool it down slightly, but I wanna turn the heat to like a very, very low heat, just so this way you don't boil the miso soup. Grab a whisk that has no handle because the other one's dirty. Give this a nice whisk, making sure that all that miso is broken down. Super important. You don't want to just bite into like a chunk of miso later. And once this is all broken down and the miso is kind of gone, this is where I'm gonna take some Layu chili oil. This is really, really good stuff. Do a little, maybe a little. Okay, that's good. Now we do want this to still come up to that simmer, so I'm gonna increase the heat, just a little bit. Oh, the smell's coming out of this. Not as spicy as I thought it was gonna be. I also have another secret ingredient I'm gonna show you guys later. I'm actually really excited for that secret ingredient. It's gonna be silly. This can sit on the stove at a very, very low heat for like an hour if you really want to. You could also just cool this down and have it later. It's up to you. But we need to get that mooncake in the oven. This mooncake was actually in the freezer for like 45 minutes to an hour. Probably gonna ruin this anyways. So what I'm gonna do is take every precaution to hopefully not ruin it. So in that case, I am going to be taking parchment paper, okay? And do a second mold that I happen to have. Use my belly to hold it down. I wanna get this into here. So I have to flip it and then I have to place it into here. Do you see how this can be an issue? It's probably a stupid idea now that I'm saying it out loud. So instead, I'm gonna flip it directly onto here and then put it into there. Godspeed, little one. Heart of the cards, heart of the cards. Do you see it's already sticking? This is a problem. I can feel it coming out. I'm just trying to be kind of gentle at this point. I know I just slammed it a little bit, but sometimes you gotta give it tough love, Come on, just release for me. Yes, yes, yes! Oh, so satisfying. Oh my God. Look at this. Oh, baby, do we just bake it right now like this? What do I do? I don't even work. I can't even mouth right now, but this feels really good. We're gonna go with this pan. We're gonna grease this guy up just in case. Oh my God, it's so big. Is this gonna work? I don't know if I just made that worse. I'm gonna cook it in here. I feel like I'm gonna cook it in here. But I wanna press this just to tighten it up, I'm not putting too much pressure on this. Oven is almost heated. I think we're gonna go in. So I'm gonna do nothing else except pay attention to this because it's only 12:30, 350 degrees for 15, 20 minutes. please work. Hi, hello. Remember I told you we were not gonna be doing anything until that thing was done? I lied. I need to roast some garlic for dinner. So into my little pan, I have like 5 cloves of garlic. This just kind of works out because the oven is already on and I don't have to do it on the stovetop. I'm gonna throw in a little bit of oil just to make sure that they're covered. Then, since apparently I have 0 aluminum foil, because I was not prepared, I'm gonna take some parchment paper, lay it over the top of this, make sure it's nice and weighed down, and then this gets to get roasted 30-40 minutes. The oven's already on, just throwing it out there. There's only a few minutes left on that mooncake on the first bake, so we need to make some egg wash, and here is a little hack. Grab yourself a shaker cup, absolutely decimate the egg because apparently you do not know how to crack eggs open. Hit it with just a splash of water. Egg wash. We actually have to egg wash that 3 different times and continue baking it throughout that process. What that really means is I'm gonna pull this thing out, egg wash it once, throw it back in the oven for 15 to 20 minutes, pull it out again, egg wash it again, bake it again for another 15 to 20 minutes, and then maybe do one final one. So in total, this took 3 different egg washes in about an hour, maybe even a little longer than an hour to get this result. The problem that I see is that some of it had separated on the edges. I don't know if you can see that yet. There are some areas where it opened up in fear of this falling apart. I'm gonna let this rest in here for probably 4 to 5 hours, which means we have to finish the rest of this dinner tomorrow. So I'm cooling down the soup, and this was an unforeseen circumstance, but you know what? We're gonna eat this, we're gonna have this tomorrow. Just being honest. I could have said, oh, I made it within a day, but no, we gotta wait. I know this is a little weird. I just got back from the gym. I actually need to take this out of the pan, which I totally forgot. So we're gonna attempt very carefully to take this out of the pan so it can rest until tomorrow, and then we, finish it like we said earlier. You have to take this out, otherwise it steams. You don't want it to steam. Oh, there it is. Okay, we got a little bit of color on the side. I was actually worried that we weren't gonna get much color on the side, but that looks good.
A few moments later.
It's definitely day 2, and I had to let that mooncake rest. I'm gonna show you that later. But right now, I'm reheating all of my noodles and all of my, actually not the noodles, the broth that we made is being reheated. Now, we're gonna drop the noodles in. I'm using some really nice organic dried ramen noodles. Feel free to make your own, so I'm just using these. I like these. We're just gonna cook these for, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes, depending on how long they really take. We got our broth back there, that's getting ready to go. And I also have my pan heating up for the steak that we have to make. The steak's gonna be good. I don't know what this angle is. I can't see the wayfinder, so let me know how the angle is. Now for the show-off steak, there's only one steak that I wanted to use for this, and that is Wagyu. Yes, Wagyu. Oh, that's nice. This was $92. Thank you for sponsoring this video, Mabinogi. I really appreciate it. But here's one really cool thing. I'm gonna show you the technique. That cast iron pan has been heating up for about 5 minutes. I'm gonna bring it over here. If you preheat your pan like a cast iron, slow and low, it gives you a much more even heat throughout the entire pan. So this pan is really hot right now, and we're going to sear off this steak. This steak is coming fresh out of the refrigerator, so it should be nice and cold. And we're just gonna, yep, that's it. No salt, no pepper or anything, because we're gonna use salt and the garlic that we made as our little dip later. I'm just holding it down a little bit to get a nice press on it. You can already see the fat kind of melting. It's insane how fast this cooks. Cooking Wagyu doesn't take too long because there's so much fat content, and you really don't want to overcook it. Otherwise, you lose a lot of it. So this has only been going for about maybe 2 minutes on one side. Gonna flip it. Oh. One thing you will need is a cooling rack for this steak because you don't want to cut into this right away. Oh, baby. That's pretty much done. I'm gonna turn this off. I'm gonna go get my noodles. Trying to make sure I execute all of this at one time. We don't want cold Kobe, we don't want cold noodles. Now, the steak. You see that right there? See that? Huh? That's beautiful. This thing needs to rest for just a couple of minutes while we get everything else ready. Keep it away from Gandalf because he will destroy this. It's plate up time, friends. First thing is gonna be noodles in the bowl, which is very different than doing it traditionally where you put the soup in first. That looks so freaking good. Super rich looking from all the pork. Oh, I wish you guys could smell this. The aromatics, I feel like, got better overnight. All that pork. My mouth is legitimately watering. Now we're gonna be a little extra because we can. This is just some of the Wagyu fat. Just a little bit, right on there. Why not? We have it. Like you wouldn't do the same thing. You would totally do the same thing. Some other things that I have is some really fresh sweet corn. It's summertime. It's like a half an ear of corn. Then of course, you need a lot of green onion. Just do a pile of green onion. Now I did promise you one extra super secret flavor that we gotta top this with. This, my friends, is electric dust. I actually picked this up in Las Vegas, and it's Szechuan peppercorn dust. You don't need a lot. I'm gonna show you exactly how much I'm using because it is very strong. This is probably still too much. Can you see what's in there? Oh, it's so sparkly. Oh, it's so pretty. I love this. This is so much fun. Now for this Wagyu, look at that deliciousness. This is technically the show-off steak. And if you want to show off, this is all you need. Oh my God, should we? It literally needs nothing else. It's so rich. Oh yeah, that's nice and rare. Cutting into it literally feels like cutting into butter. I'm also gonna cut it just down the center, so this way it's a little easier to eat because we're gonna dip it into that garlic oil that I made. The one thing I will say, I want a little more crispness to it, so. That's it. Just a little bit. Oh yes, beautiful. Noodles are done. Steak is done. There's only one thing left to do, and that's to talk to you guys about Mabinogi and also cut the mooncake. I didn't forget about that. And this video is sponsored by Mabinogi. It's an MMO RPG where you can create your very own fantasy life. Whether or not you want to stay in your homestead, become the most powerful warrior, or a mage who just wants to blow everything up. Your hero, your adventure, and your fantasy life. But what's really cool is that this new update, the Great Era of Commerce, we've expanded commerce into the area region. Ports have been reopened with a brand new trade union with a bunch of new ships that actually get players to their destination faster. You could build your own merchant empire thanks to the brand new additions in the area region. The new trade shop sells limited time items that are actually going to help you along your way. In this update, players can increase their rank throughout the 4-month season, which helps increase your seasonal commerce score, and then all of that is converted to rewards at the end of the season. Food in Mabinogi has always played a vital role in the world, just like it does in ours. From getting things like fresh fruit and produce like we use today, to even gaining and losing weight, which is really cool, I think. Like that's actually pretty awesome. But all of the food in Mabinogi also gives you a bunch of stat boosts and increases, just like when you eat a bunch of spicy food, you might have to run to the bathroom in real life. You know, you're gonna have that effect in game too, probably. Thank you again to Mabinogi for sponsoring today's video. Make sure you click that link down below and let us get to the rest of this feast. Thank you again to Mabinogi for sponsoring this video, and now we get to finally dive into this, because this looks so good. So like I mentioned earlier, there's no seasoning on this steak, so I'm gonna take a bit of sea salt. We're gonna place this into this ramekin because that's extra fancy. Here's that garlic oil that we made. The garlic itself got nicely fried. I just want a touch of that oil. And I think I also want 1 garlic clove. So I'm just gonna fish that guy out just so you know that, this is roasted garlic oil. Boom, look at that. Now you can dip, have some fun, whether or not you wanna put it in the oil first and then into the salt or vice versa. But now we have to make room for this mooncake. So normally with mooncake, you do have to let them rest for a day or two. This has been resting since yesterday. What ends up happening is the crust gets a little softer. You put it into a container and let it rest at room temperature. Now we get to cut this bad boy open, and I am so excited to see what it looks like. I'm not ready to cut into this, but I want to see what it looks like. Oh, it's so dense. But letting it rest, right, has allowed that crust to soften up to where I actually can cut it. Let's try to get a giant wedge. Oh, yes. Look at that. Is the dough cooked? Yes, it is. That's so nice. Look at this spread. There it is, the feast from Mabinogi. These are only some of the things that you make in the game. And if you want any of these recipes, check out the links down below, but we're gonna get into this. I really wanna start eating because I've been plating out for like 10 minutes. I think the first thing I wanna do is actually taste the Wagyu, just because I don't wanna ruin the flavor of this because it's so delicate with something so strong as this or so sweet as this. We're gonna try a piece with salt first. Look at, that's all you need. Cheers. My whole body turned into butter. Oh my God. It's rich and flavorful without feeling overly heavy, but it lingers quite a bit, which is really nice. Take another piece into the garlic oil this time. Totally different flavor. Okay, I wanna go in on this ramen. So the tier noodles are supposed to be spicy enough to make you cry. So let's see if this holds up to the test. I'm hoping I don't cry. I actually can't handle spice very well. Oh my God, how do you even noodle? I gotta wait for it, It's actually not that spicy, even from that cayenne. I probably should have used a scorpion pepper, but the flavor is insane. You have all the miso flavors, the white miso comes through. Oh, I'm getting some of the Szechuan numbingness now. To be honest, I think I'd rather have a bowl of this than that steak. Oh, that's so good. Now, for this mooncake, this ridiculous mooncake, I'm gonna cut a giant chunk out. Cheers. It's so good. The maple flavor comes through really well, and then you have the sweet red bean and the flaky pastry. Oh man, definitely taking some of this to the neighbors. And I just want to say thank you again to Mabinogi for sponsoring this video. This wouldn't have been possible without them, so make sure you head to the link down below. Download Mabinogi, make sure you become the most epic cook possible in the game, and I can't wait to see what you guys create. My name is Chef PK, and remember, keep playing with your food.